How would you define freedom?
Oh, that's a good question to start with, Rich. I think what's most important about freedom is that it starts on an individual level first. I remember when I first was introduced to the philosophy of liberty and when I first started to embrace it, I seemed to project all of my thought and attention and energy into things that were very far away from me, things that I was really never going to be able to control. And I realized that I was very unfree in many ways. And, it took many years to figure this out. I'm actually giving a talk on Saturday about some of the steps that I took to feel more uh, free in myself, in my own life, to gain control over that. And, one of them was getting organized, and clearing out all this debris that I was letting build up. Another one was developing more confidence in the my mind's abilities. Another one was developing a better relationship with myself, and then, perhaps most importantly of all, being able to communicate that to others and develop connected, meaningful relationships with them. And I think once all those things start to take place, and it's obviously an ongoing process for all four of them, um, many of us can start to do some of the work that we really need to do, which might be about expanding self knowledge and self healing. And I think that if none of that is done, if people just skip to, say, the political aspects of freedom, then they're dragging a lot of stuff with them that they don't need to drag. So I'm trying not to do that, and it's an ongoing process. So that's my definition of freedom. It's focused very much on me.
What do you do for freedom?
What do I do for freedom? Well, I would say, again, just following from the first question, my show, my project, the School Sucks project and School Sucks podcast, is that exercise for me. I am very clear with the people who listen that I'm not any type of mastermind or guru. I'm just a guy who's recording himself, trying to figure this world out and trying to figure myself out. And I think that as far as my own personal freedom is concerned, it gives me a routine, it gives me some accountability. It gives me a large group of people who can check in on me and, ask me questions. Oh, Brett, how's this going? Did you ever do this thing? So I like doing the show because I can announce the things that I'm working on. It makes them harder to forget. And what I've learned, even though I started the show kind of like as a form of my own therapy, I used to sit through these meetings in schools and I would form all these thoughts that would just cost me my job if I said them out loud. So I started to basically journal through audio. And I was really pleased and I was really excited when I learned other people were getting something out of it too. And I hope that this continues. I've certainly gotten some reports from some people that they made decisions like we're taking our children out of school, or we're going to go through, a lot of the processes you've described on the show, a lot of the exercises, a lot of the investigations for ourselves, because we want what you're communicating on your show, and we want it for our children. And as far as like my experience and energy is concerned, I think that's the best foot forward I could put for freedom.
Why do you attend Porkfest?
Why do I attend Porkfest? Well, originally, I mean, this is the sixth time I've been at Porkfest, and originally it was kind of like a mecca, like this amazing place where I was going to connect with all of these people, and I was right. I first came in 2010, and I formed or strengthened some of the best friendships that I've ever had in my life through these interactions. Um, in later years, I came because I was asked to speak, and I wanted to reconnect with people that I rarely get to see, spend some time with them face to face, and the rest of the world isn't like this out there, so it's a nice thing to see a community form so quickly and the energy that it has. So it's always inspiring, I think, for me to be here.
What's your favorite part of Porkfest?
Hmm. I can tell you the best thing that ever happened to me at Porkfest. It was this week. So I was asked to be a co-host on a show called The Freedom Fiends, and they broadcast out of Montana. So the show begins at 1 a.m. Eastern Time and goes till 3 a.m. Eastern Time. There were five of us co-hosting, which is unheard of in radio. You never have five co-hosts, and we made it through. We had some amusing conversations. We had some fairly intellectual topics, and at the end of it, we took a break, and I said we should keep going. We should do more show. So we returned to the microphones at 3:30 in the morning, and I had said to somebody at 11 on Sunday, I don't know how I'm even going to make it until 1 o'clock. But at 3:30, I had such terrific energy from this experience that I had had that we started recording again, and we went until 8 a.m. It was me and three others, and it was such a roller coaster of a conversation, from just some incredibly silly topics like superpowers to some really deep stuff like childhood trauma. And it was interesting. It was surreal because I was so tired. I had it was reaching the point where I had been up for almost 24 hours, and we're in this media room which has all these picture windows facing the mountains, and we're just talking and watching the sun come up and making these amazing connections. We couldn't even leave each other after the show was over. We went outside and started walking around the campground together. So it was just this terrific bonding experience, and one of the most memorable things that's ever happened to me here. And I feel like I'm closer to those three people now than I was before because of that. So it's experiences like those. That's what I think Porkfest is all about.
Why should the folks at home consider coming to next year's Porkfest?
Well, I guess that depends on where home is and how bad things are there. I think that, I know this sounds cliche, but I think people could get a lot of hope from coming here and seeing what is actually happening. This freedom thing becomes less of an abstraction when you experience it firsthand, when you participate in it. And you can see the relationships and the networks firsthand that have been built over doing an event like this over the last 12 years.